Māori ora, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. I'd like you to start with putting us in the picture of you a little bit. Who you are and why you're here being interviewed by the Extinction Rebellion Election Roadshow.
Oh, kia ora tātou, ko Jessica Hammond taku ingoa. I am the Opportunities Party candidate for Ohio. So I'm here representing TOP and also representing myself as a citizen of Aotearoa, New Zealand.
Fantastic, fantastic. So you know that Extinction Rebellion is deeply concerned about the environment. We're calling for the truth to be told and for action to be taken from the point of view of a state of emergency. What is the position of TOP in relation to telling the truth about the climate and ecological emergency and taking action?
Well, at TOP we follow the evidence, and the evidence is extremely clear that we are facing a climate crisis, that we need to get our fossil fuel emissions down to zero as fast as we possibly can, and we need to treat it like the crisis that it is. And we can do that if we listen to experts and follow the evidence. We actually can, we know that climate change is happening and it's real, but we need to mitigate it as much as we can and act now to adapt.
So we're calling for a state of emergency, and we've seen with the COVID what can happen. And individually we cough differently, we wash our hands differently, we greet each other differently. And we gather in crowds and restaurants and cafes differently. And this has all been done under emergency powers by the government. I'm wondering what given that TOP would be in government, what you would be arguing for in the way of actions for the climate.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. The government has, in a rare act, and I really do admire them for listening to the evidence on COVID-19 and acting as though it was a crisis and taking actions accordingly. Well, slow-moving crises kill too, and the climate crisis is a real crisis that kills. So we need to act as if it were an emergency, because it is. So there are a lot of actions that TOP is committed to addressing the crisis, and these are all based on the best available evidence. So first of all, where the government and the opposition are both promising to spend billions of dollars on infrastructure, and the money we spend in the next few years is going to determine whether we meet our climate goals. So every infrastructure project that they invest in with our children's money should benefit them. So they need to do proper business cases that assess not only their economic costs and benefits, but their environmental costs and benefits. So those investments need to be looked at immediately, and if they are not going to benefit future generations, they should not go ahead. We need to design our cities and suburbs so that everyone can get where they need to go with public transport or active modes within 15 minutes, so that we don't need to use cars. That's a design solution that we need to start immediately. And on on emissions directly, we need to strengthen the emissions trading scheme and stop using trees to offset fossil fuel emissions, in accordance with the advice of the Parliamentary Commissioner for the Environment. If we do that, the carbon price will double, and that's what needs to happen so that we get strong incentives to decarbonise the economy. That would raise about $1 billion a year, and we can invest that in decarbonising. That happens to be the amount it's going to take to decarbonise the economy. So we would start with making our homes energy efficient, warmer, dry, healthier. There are massive health benefits and climate benefits for doing that. And we would be incentivising low or zero emission vehicles, including electric bikes and micro mobility.
These are fabulous ideas that are current. So thank you for you as yourself and the party thinking them through and making them so current. We have known about the climate crisis for decades.
Yeah.
We have known what to do about it for decades. Governments have signed international agreement after international agreement, setting goals, making commitments, and then either nothing or very little has happened. Not enough, obviously, has happened, or we wouldn't be in this crisis. So it's like democracy has been hijacked. So I'm wondering if you've got ideas of what we might do about democracy so that it doesn't continue to be hijacked.
Absolutely. You know, the Kyoto Protocol, we signed up to it in 1997 when I had just finished school. I'm 41, so we have been kicking this can down the road for my entire adult life. We haven't been taking this seriously, and we're just making it someone else's problem. The more we make it someone else's problem, the bigger the problem is, and the more we are, you know, we're kicking our children and our grandchildren. And I'm not sure how those people who have kicked that can down the road can live with themselves knowing that. But you're right. There's something broken that the successive governments haven't been addressing this. So now, to get to carbon zero by 2050, you know, the emissions graph, it's almost, you know, it's almost vertical now, the changes we need to make, and it didn't need to be this way. But now that it is this way, we do need to strengthen our democracy to get the kind of changes we need. So at TOP we have a policy we call Democracy Reset. So there's an awful lot of actions under it, but some of the important things we would do is we want a written constitution that protects or enshrines in plain language the rights of individuals and the rights for the environment. And we need systems in upper houses. One way we could do it to protect those rights. We need civics education in schools, and if we had that, we could lower the voting age, because we know if people vote in their first election for which they're eligible, they tend to vote for the rest of their lives. So we could create a lifetime habit of voting. And since younger people have a bigger stake in what happens to our climate, you know, we think that they will vote for the climate. We need to, you know, honour the Treaty of Waitangi, and you know, really involve communities in decision making about their own communities. There's a lot more in there, but these are some of the things we would do. We need more public interest journalism to, you know, really critically, really look critically at what government is doing. So those are some of the things we would do.
I'm interested in the constitutional change that you mentioned. I'm sure you are aware that Māori have spent the last 10 years travelling around iwi, discussing at hapu level about what might be done at constitutional change level for the partnership that they signed up to with our ancestors when they first came to this country, and that has not happened. So I'm wondering, when you're thinking constitutional change, how you're looking at tapping in to all that energy that has been happening.
Yes, that's right. So there is that work's been going on, and the Jeffrey Palmer work's been going on, and you know, I think it's time to bring the country in. So, you know, at TOP we're a big fan of citizens' assemblies, so that we can have really informed conversations about what we need to do as a country. And you know, we don't need to have this constitution enshrined tomorrow, but let's talk about it for maybe, you know, 5 or 10 years as a country, what we value and what we want to protect.
Well, thank you for your comments, your depth of response. I'm just wondering if there would be anything else that you'd want to say that we haven't covered.
I guess I'd just say that, you know, we have a choice. In 2050, when my eldest daughter is my age, I can either be having a conversation with her where she asks, why were you so selfish? Why didn't you why did you ruin this for us? Or we can be having a conversation where they say, thank you for turning it around, because we can do better. And I'd just like us all to really picture those conversations we're going to be having with our children and grandchildren, and the kind of conversation we want to have.
I really hear the depth of emotion that you have when you think about talking with your daughter in 2050. Yeah. And I've heard equivalent depths of emotion as I've been travelling around the North Island and talking with lots of people. So thank you, and travel well. All the best in the election.
Thank you for all you are doing as well. It's amazing.